Hi, welcome back to Through Nicky's Lens. I am Nicky and I'm here with another video for you today. Are you curious to know what are some of the things that you can do to potentially improve your CRS scores, that's your comprehensive ranking scores, within Express Entry? You might be a permanent resident aspirant and you are looking to find out ways that you can improve your scores, because the reality is that right now, comprehensive ranking scores, when invitations to apply are issued by IRCC, are pretty high. And you're trying to figure out what can you do to improve your scores. So I have a few strategies that you could potentially employ to utilize to improve your CRS scores. Let's get into the video today. One of the major things that persons can utilize to improve their CRS scores is language proficiency. Language proficiency is mandatory when you're applying through Express Entry, at least at this point. If you know how the CRS scores are calculated, you would know that there are scores assigned to the language skills that you have. If it is that you did a language proficiency exam, whether it be IELTS or CELPIP or any other language test that IRCC accepts to prove your language proficiency, you would understand that doing well in your language exam is critical to your PR application, to your potential to be invited to apply for permanent residency. So, if you did your language exam and you probably didn't do as good as you expected to do, one of the things that you can do is to zero in on how to improve your chances to get higher scores. Go back to the drawing board and practice a little bit harder. Especially if English is not your first language, you need to probably join study groups, take extra steps, to watch videos, to maybe enroll in a class or whatever it is, to ensure that you can understand the various skills and the various things that you can do to improve your language scores. Have you considered learning French? For those who are from a French-speaking country, you have several advantages. You can utilize English as one of the other language abilities to get you additional scores. There are benefits to having proficiency in 2 languages. Fluency in French can be a game changer for you. This can be especially beneficial and advantageous to you, particularly since Canada, that's IRCC, has a designated category for French speakers. So this is an opportunity, a bilingual opportunity to boost your CRS scores and your potential to get an invitation to apply for permanent residency. Look into the options that are available to you if French is not a language that you understand, it's not a language that you can speak. Take classes, practice with your friends and family, and improve your proficiency in French. Let's talk about education. Pursuing an additional educational qualification can boost your chances to become a permanent resident. Yes, it may take longer. However, if it is that you have just a diploma from your country, or if you just have a bachelor's degree, there are options for you. If it is that you meet the requirements to participate in the international student program, you can immigrate to Canada on a temporary basis to study. So, if you already have a diploma, as I mentioned earlier, or a bachelor's degree, choose to do a higher qualification. Say, for example, your bachelor's degree, you already have that qualification, and you choose to do a master's level program, that is an advantage to you. There are options as well for persons to utilize having 2 credentials. So if you have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, you may get additional points as long as one of the 2 degrees you studied for 3 years or more. Look into that option. Do some research and see if you can obtain any additional points for having 2 degrees, or if you can obtain additional points for having a higher education, a Canadian education, Canadian credentials. So if you have Canadian connections, that is Canadian education and Canadian work experience, that can do so much for you. Canadian work experience can improve your CRS scores. Say, for example, you are in the express entry pool and you have Canadian work experience. You qualify if you have at least 1 year of Canadian work experience for the Canadian experience class. Say, for example, you go into the pool, say a year and a half of being in Canada, working in a high-skilled position, and you have that 1 year and 6 months worth of Canadian experience. Once you hit the 2 years mark of that Canadian work experience, your scores will also improve. Take a look at Canada's website and see how the scores are distributed or allocated towards your comprehensive ranking scores based on your personal background and your profile. If you came to Canada on a temporary basis, having enrolled in an institution, so you came and you studied as an international student and you start working, that can work to your advantage. However, with how things are right now, with so many people in the express entry pool, persons have to be more strategic to get a competitive edge or a competitive boost over all those applications that are in the pool waiting for an invitation to apply. Obtaining a provincial nomination, a PNP. If you didn't already know, getting a nomination from a province, a Canadian province or territory that participates in the PNP program can give you that significant advantage over other applicants. Simply because you get an additional 600 points in your express entry profile once you get a nomination from a province. What do you need to do? Watch my previous video that I posted talking about the provincial nomination program and the various provinces that participate in the PNP programs. Simply apply to one of the provinces, a province that you have an interest in, to live, to settle, and to contribute to that economy. Once you find out what the requirements are for that provincial nomination program, you submit an interest to the province to let them know that you have an interest in them nominating you. Once you meet the requirements and they conduct their invitations to apply, you meet that minimum score, you get that invitation to submit an application to be nominated from the province. Once you submit the necessary documentation, they process your application and they approve and nominate you. You had your express entry profile. The province will give you an additional 600 points, and that significantly improves your opportunity to get an invitation to apply for PR from IRCC. So, a provincial nomination can be significantly beneficial to you if you have in-demand skills or high human capital to settle in that province and to contribute to the economy of that province. So the final strategy that you can utilize to get an invitation to apply from IRCC, that's to apply for permanent residence, is to ensure that you qualify for one of the category-based draws. So if you gain at least 6 months of Canadian work experience in any of the categories, including STEM, healthcare, trades, transportation, agriculture, and agri-food experience within the last 3 years, this can be highly advantageous to you. Do some research and find out more about the category-based draws that IRCC conducts, as well as the various occupations that fall under each category, and choose to find a job in that area. Firstly, though, for some of those occupations, you need to be qualified. So if it is that you're thinking to immigrate to Canada, look into choosing a program that falls under the various categories that IRCC currently conducts the category-based draws for. There are also talks about 2025 and potentially IRCC will add new categories or make changes to the current categories that they utilize for the category-based draws. What you need to do is to keep an eye on the various changes and the immigration news from IRCC to see where they're headed. There are talks about IRCC intending to focus on the various occupations that there are shortages for workers in Canada. So make sure that you are in the know and you can do all that you need to get the various education, other professional qualifications, and ultimately a high-skilled job in those occupations so that you are well on your way to gain the necessary qualifications or necessary work experience that you need to qualify for those categories. I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to my channel. Like this video, leave a comment, you can ask a question, indicate what topics you would want me to do additional videos on for the future. And don't forget to share the video with someone that may find it helpful. Thank you so much for making it through Nicky's Lens, and I'll see you in my next video.